YouTube, YouTube. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, good morning. Come on in, come on in. Got a great live. Got a good live for you guys today. Ran a little late, but you know, I'm here. I'm here. Hope everybody's doing good on this Tuesday morning. Like I said, I got a great live for you guys, man. I'm gonna do a part 2 of the W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. I'm gonna do a part 2. But I want to say a few things before I continue with the part 2. So you know, let's get it going. With my theme, on YouTube. First of all, let me say this. YouTube, I do not own the rights to this music. This music for entertainment and educational purposes only. Let's start.
We all agree tonight, all of the speakers have agreed that America has a very serious problem. Not only does America have a very serious problem, but our people have a very serious problem. America's problem is self-destruction. Yeah, it was self-destruction. Self-destruction. Yeah, it was self-destruction. Self-destruction. Yeah, it was self-destruction. Self-destruction.
Well, today's topic, self-destruction. It really ain't the rap audience that's bugging. It's one or two suckers, ignorant brothers, trying to rob and steal from one another. You get caught in the mid. So to crush that stereotype, here's what we did. We got ourselves together so that you can unite and fight for what's right. Not negative cause. The way we live is positive. We don't kill our relatives.
Pop, 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 when it's shot, who's to blame? Headline, front page, and raps the name. MC Delight here to state the bottom line. The black on black crime was way before our time.
Took a brother's life with a knife as his wife cried cause he died a trifling death when he left his very last breath. Was I slept, so watch your step. Back in the 60s, our brothers and sisters were hanged. How could you gangbang? I never ever ran from the Ku Klux Klan, and I shouldn't have to run from a black man, cause that's
self-destruction. Yeah, it was self-destruction. Self-destruction. Yeah, it was self-destruction. Self-destruction. Yeah, it was self-destruction. Self-destruction. Yeah. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
Funky fresh dressed to impress, ready to party. Money in your pocket, dying to move your body. To get inside, you pay the whole $10. Scotch tape with a razor blade taped to your collar. Leave the guns in the crack and the knobs alone. MC lights on the microphone. Bum rushing and pushing, snatching and taxing. I cram to understand why brothers don't be maxing. There's only one disco, they'll close one more. You ain't guarding the door, so what you got a gun for? Do you rob the rich and give to the poor? Yo, daddy-o. School some more.
Good straight from the mouth.
Why?
And daddy-o.
Do a crime.
End up in jail and gotta go. Cause you could do crime and get paid today, and tomorrow you're behind bars in the worst way. Far from your family, cause you're locked away. Now tell me, do you really think crime pays? You mean on taking what your brother had?
You little sucker.
You talking all that jazz.
It's time to stand together in a unity. Cause if not, then we're soon to be self-destroyed, unemployed. The rap race will be lost without a trace or a clue, but what to do is stop the violence and kick the science down the road that we call eternity, where knowledge is formed and you learn to be self-sufficient, independent. To teach the each is what rap intended, but society wants to invade. So do not walk this path that they laid. It's self-destruction. You're headed for self-destruction. Self-destruction. Be nice. Break it down like this.
Children growing, women producing, men go working, some do stealing.
Self-destruction. You're headed for self-destruction. Self-destruction.
I'm Miss Melody and I'm a born again rebel. The bounce in rap must cease and settle. If we want to develop and grow to another level, we can't be guinea pigs for the devil. The enemy knows they're no fools because everyone knows the hip hop rules. So we gotta get it and grab what's wrong. The opposition is weak and rap is strong.
This is all about, no doubt, to stop violence. But first, let's have a moment of silence. Swing. This has been stated, re-educated, evaluated. Thoughts of the past have faded. The only thing left is the memories of our belated. And I hate it when someone dies to get all hurt up for a silly gold chain by a chump. Word up. It doesn't make you a big man. And you want ain't going dish your brother, man. And you don't know that's part of the plan. Why? Cause rap music is in full demand. Understand?
Self-destruction. Self-destruction. My name is Just Ice, a man, not a prankster. I was known as the gangster, but believe me, that is no fun. The time is now to unite everyone. You don't have to be soft to be for peace. Robbing and killing and murdering is the least. You don't have to be chained by the beast. But party people, it's time I release. Hey yo, here's the situation. Idiocy, nonsense, violence, not a good policy. Therefore, we must ignore fighting, fussing. Heaven's at the door, so there'll be no bum rushing. Let's get together because we're falling apart. I heard a brother shot another, it broke my heart. I don't understand the difficulty, people. Love your brother, treat him as an equal. They call us animals, I don't agree with them. I'll prove it wrong, but right is what you're proving them. Take heed before I lead to what I'm saying, or we'll all be on our knees.
What's up, YouTube? What's up? What's up? What's up? Good morning to everybody. Good morning to everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. This is going to be a part 2 of the W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington. But first, I want to say a few things. The reason why I came to YouTube. Now, I came to YouTube to open my own channel to teach history and even spiritual and all that to YouTube, to hope to reach somebody. I wasn't expecting to reach everybody because I know that's impossible. But I came to reach somebody and bring the positive message to YouTube. Hold on. Bring a positive message to YouTube. And that's what I had planned on doing. Now, in the midst, I got sidetracked. Trying to see how YouTube was about. You know, I jumped on different people's panels, just basically trying to learn YouTube. Because it wasn't necessarily that that I was going to start a YouTube. Like I say, I was just trying to see how YouTube worked, but it was an idea. So I was doing what I was doing, Then it started getting the way it is, started getting divisive. And, people was going at each other. And by some of the things I was doing by jumping on panels, it seemed like that I was jumping in other people's squabbles or beefs, that they call it, which I wasn't. But I found myself in it. And I realized that was a mistake. Because I didn't come on YouTube to form enemies. I came to YouTube to enlighten. See, because I knew, I had in my mind, I knew everybody wouldn't like me. But I didn't know it was to this extent. But I was prepared. See, but to be honest with you guys, I embrace it. I embrace the dislike. As a matter of fact, I love the dislike. See, because I'm the type of person, if you don't like me for any reason, I'm still going to come to you and face you like a man and find out why you don't like me. What's the reason why you don't like me, especially if you don't know me? What is your reason? You can't say I did something to you. You can't say I did something to your family. You can't say you loaned me some money and I didn't pay you back. So what is your reason for not liking me? Yeah, you can say you don't like my voice. Okay, whatever. But what makes you think you got a perfect voice? Instead of paying attention to my voice, listen to my message. See, we're so busy in judging the messenger, we don't listen to the message. See, that's our problem. We want to criticize the messenger, but don't pay attention to the message that he's giving. Now, I ain't come on YouTube to act like I'm better than thou or, I'm a perfect person or whatever narrative you might put on it. No, I'm far from that. I'm far from that. I'm just a man who's trying to spread wisdom that I've learned to other people. I'm not saying anything that I don't know or I don't know what I'm talking about. See, and that's all it is. And like I say, I love people who don't like me. That fuels me. Sometimes that makes me know I'm doing something right. I know some people don't like me because of where I was on the takeover. See? And I was thinking I was being innocent. But I saw how the YouTube streets move. It didn't make me innocent. So I learned I just have to be careful. I had to be careful. And I will continue doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna keep going to people who I feel don't like. See, the people who like me, the people who support me, you know, I'm cool with. But I want to get the people who don't like me. That's what I want. I want the people who don't like me. Because eventually they gonna understand that what I'm bringing is truth. I'm not bringing no bullshit. You know, like I said, I'm not here to form no enemies. Cause we got a similar enemy anyway to be fighting each other. So I just want people to understand why I'm here on YouTube. I ain't here on YouTube to join no clique or none of that. Like I always say, I came to YouTube by myself. I would leave YouTube by myself. What's up, everybody that came in? Cornbread, KTC. I can't see the other brother who came in, but salute, salute, salute. You know, that's what it is, man. That's why I say, I'll anywhere I go, I'll go to different people's platform. And if, you know, I don't care who it is. You know, I go on your platform. You know, I go to your page. But my thing, if I just don't like what you're doing, I ain't gonna talk about you. I just move on. Because see, to me, y'all, this personal and all this shit, man, is getting tiresome. You know, you doxing people, you know. Because me, personally, I don't care if you put a picture up of me. I don't care. You know, it's not embarrassing me. You know what I'm saying? Because you look at it as a 62-year-old man who never did hard drugs, never been in jail, who lived a good, decent life. So whatever you do on me, I don't care. But see, for one, I don't claim to be rich. I don't come in here false flagging. I don't claim to be nobody I'm not. So I come to you as an average person, an average black man living in this world, trying to teach his fellow brothers and sisters, you know, history so they can understand why things are the way they are today. That's my mission. So I had a deep thought yesterday. I was sitting on my porch. I was just thinking. That's why I didn't come on live. I was going to come back live yesterday. Of course, I had real life things to do. And, you know, so I had a little time to, you know, sit back and think a little bit. And I had to really think, was I going to continue in doing this? I really was contemplating on stop on YouTube. But, you know, I went to church Sunday. and I got refocused on the reason of my purpose of coming on YouTube. Then I said, nah, I can't give up. I have to do what I came to do. I got to finish what I came to do. So here I am. So I would never stop going to other people's platform or people pages. I don't care if somebody having an argument or fight with such and such, or I don't care. Because I'm not here to squabble, argue, or talk about nobody here on YouTube. Because in my opinion, how can you talk about or argue with somebody on YouTube who you really don't know in real life? That's a waste of time. So I learned people gonna have different perception of you, no matter what you do. No matter what you do, people gonna have different perceptions of you. So the only thing you can do is stay true to yourself and continue doing what you're doing. And that's what I learned. So people who wanted me off of YouTube, guess what? I ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere. So that's that. But anyway, we was talking about W.E.B. Du Bois versus Booker T. Washington. It's from Black Bloc channel. Like I say, Du Bois and Washington had different ideology because they came up differently. W.E.B. Du Bois grew up around a bunch of white folks. His family was well in the middle class to be black. So he didn't grow up with the struggles that Booker T. Washington did. See, Booker T. Washington had to work for everything he got. He didn't have nobody financing his education. He had to work for his education. So he came up harder than W.E.B. Du Bois. So they both had different ideologies how to fight this justice, the injustice of black people back then. But if you listen, they both had the same ideas, but they had a different way of doing it. So like I said before, my last live, if they would have had that conversation, they could have came up with a solution. But by people keeping them divided, see, they never came together to have a resolution to what they wanted for black people. So that's the importance of having a conversation when you have a disagreement with another man, or you have a problem with another man. You have a conversation. But let's continue with this the story of Du Bois and versus Washington from Black Bloc.
Day before the historic March on Washington, a march and a movement he undoubtedly influenced.
Did Booker T. Washington really call for accepting segregation?
In a way, Booker T is saying we have to remember that our well-being relies on the goodwill of white people. And the best way to ensure our future is to make ourselves useful to white people rather than agitating for a partnership they clearly are not ready to give to us.
In his groundbreaking Atlanta Compromise speech, He laid out a controversial path for black progress in America, one that would spark debate for generations. Let's explore and break down why this speech and Washington's philosophy continues to encourage debates and fuel movements more than 100 years after it was given. If you love black history, make sure you subscribe, like, and share. The year was 1895. The United States of America was only 30 years into the Emancipation Proclamation that led to the freeing of black slaves. Black families were free, but were struggling to find an identity as they grappled with centuries of being deprived of self-fulfillment and any pursuit of building an economic or educational base. Now, standing in front of a packed audience was a former slave who offered a solution. Booker T. Washington spoke at the Cotton States and International Exposition in Atlanta, Georgia, not as an oppressed man, but as a man with a vision for his people to be as free as he was. Cast down your bucket where you are. After the emancipation of slaves, many black Americans decided to leave the South where they once, even if unwillingly, called home. However, Booker T. Washington believed that was a mistake. Cast down your bucket where you are might be the most memorable quote from this historic speech. He himself was born enslaved on a plantation in Virginia and knew firsthand the horrors and oppressive nature of the South, even post-Civil War. However, he urged black people to not abandon the lands they once tilled. Washington urged the audience made up of black and white citizens to develop vocational training and economic self-reliance. Blacks should sharpen their skills and work with each other, and he urged white farmers in attendance to pay fair wages to local black farmhands, for it was more beneficial than relying on foreign immigrants who were less skilled than a workforce that developed their skills through centuries of forced labor. In all things that are purely social, we can be as separate as the fingers, yet one as the hand in all things essential to mutual progress. As a child, Booker T. Washington grew up working in coal and salt mines after being emancipated. He worked the mines with other poor working-class black and white men, which included his stepfather. At this time, the only thing essential was helping provide income for his family. There were no plans for social activities like church, sports, or even school, even though he saw white kids enjoying those things. He himself would take on the challenge of pursuing his own education, but that was only after handling the family's goal of keeping a roof over their heads. So when he said, "In all things that are purely social, we can be as separate as the fingers, yet one as the hand, in all things essential to mutual progress," he was speaking from a place of living this sacrifice of self in the face of a unified front. This line epitomizes Washington's accommodationist stance, suggesting that black and white Americans could coexist separately in social matters while still working together economically. Washington wasn't advocating for whites to allow blacks into their schools or let them dine in their establishments, but he believed that both races wanted upward economic mobility. He believed that by allowing African Americans the ability to demonstrate their skills and economic value, it would benefit both races and everyone could go home to their own communities.
Now, see, Booker T, he knew that we was going to need the white establishment help in some form or another. But what he wanted was once, they get that help, what they needed, that they bring it to their own community. Like stores and all that stuff, that they bring that stuff to their own community where economically they can grow along with the whites. But we live separate. We still gonna have to deal with the whites. But he wanted us to have our own, where we can circulate money in our own community. See, because once you have black-owned establishment, the money is going to the black-owned establishment, and that brings up economic wealth through the whole community because it's staying within the community. See, like today, they got Arab stores, Korean stores, all these foreign people stores. We spend money in there, but that money don't come back to our community. That money goes to their family, to their community. It don't come to the black community where, their stores are at. See, the black community don't see the profits and the money that these stores making. But they sure take our money.
Washington also believed this notion to be true within the black community. He believed the pursuit of civil rights and integration was not as beneficial as developing skills, building our businesses, and hiring ourselves. He believed this was the only way to gain the respect that we were seeking from white people. The opportunity to earn $1 in a factory just now is worth infinitely more than the opportunity to spend $1 in an opera house. America has always presented shiny things as the rewards of capitalism. Nice cars and cool clothes have been things on vision boards before social media was a thing. At this time, right before the turn of the century, everyone enjoyed a good night out at the opera house. But like many businesses at the time, they were not owned by black folk and were largely segregated. On top of that, Washington believed them to be a luxury that black folk could not yet afford anyway. Booker T. Washington believed that the energy of black Americans should not be on integrating and fighting over social and political privileges, but rather developing practical and industrial skills. He believed that economic advancement and vocational training were the best paths for African Americans to improve their standing in society. Washington suggested that building financial independence was a more urgent priority than focusing on social equality or cultural participation. The mention of factory work may have been attributed to the opening of low-wage positions in factories across the country. Even though the black workforce were mostly skilled in agriculture, there were openings in low-wage positions at factories that could be a base that black Americans could build upon. No race can prosper till it learns that there is as much dignity in tilling a field as in writing a poem. Coming out of slavery, there was a natural conflict in black Americans developing their identity. A people denied their freedom and forced to provide the manual labor that laid the groundwork for the most prosperous nation in history. However, they left years of forced servitude with skill sets that included farming land. Washington acknowledged the harms and the damage of centuries of enslavement, but he urged to now use those skills as a pathway to freedom and to not be ashamed. No race can prosper till it learns that there is as much dignity in tilling a field as in writing a poem. This was another plea to lean into vocational and agricultural work. Just because they were used as tools of abuse, he maintained they were honorable professions that could lead to economic progress for African Americans. Washington urged his people to continue to fine-tune skills in this area and use them to spark commerce and industries within. After the end of the Reconstruction era, which had sought ways to develop laws to bring black Americans equal rights and fair footing, the Jim Crow era ushered in waves of destruction that aimed to erase any progress.
See, Booker T. Washington, he was more of, like teaching the black people off of the things you learn, all the trades you learn during slavery. You can use that same thing to give, can make you rise economic wise. You can use that to open your own business. You can do that to economically make you better. See, that's what Booker T. Washington was telling them. He said, forget about, trying to get equal with the whites because they're never going to let you. So his idea was to develop your own. Develop a trade that you can use to help you, per se, make money. See, that's what Booker T. Washington was on. Educate yourself. Whatever tool you use during slavery, use that to help you make money. Open you a business. Because like he was saying, the blacks who was in the South should have never left. State your claim. Where you at? But during that time, the Jim Crow era, it was hard. See, in the Jim Crow era, they didn't like blacks uniting. They didn't like that. We was too independent. We didn't need them. Now we back to that. About them wanting us to depend on them. Because they know black people together, we are powerful. Not just as people, but economic-wise. We're powerful. But until today, they don't want us like that. They don't want us to be together. They don't want us to be united. They don't want us to close that economic gap. Well, just look at the big cities that's in the United States. There's poverty in every big city in the United States. And who's it ran by? Ran by the same people who's running Jim Crow. The Democrats. Let's continue.
The Jim Crow laws began the separate but equal ways of the South, which left many white resources well equipped, and those for black people the complete opposite. Those dire conditions and lack of resources led many black Americans to seek refuge in the arts. From Jim Crow, jazz and gospel music emerged. Great poets and writers emerged in these dangerous times. Black theater houses rose to tell the stories of black people away from the prying eyes of white folk. Even though Booker T. Washington urged black men and women to not be ashamed of hard work, I think he too would have appreciated a little Duke Ellington or Ella Fitzgerald from time to time. Our greatest danger is that, in the great leap from slavery to freedom, we may overlook the fact that the masses of us are to live by the productions of our hands. Booker T. Washington was denied education growing up, but he pursued it relentlessly at just the age of 16. After hearing about the higher education and vocational skill development for the first time, Washington set out on a 500-mile journey from Malden, West Virginia to Hampton, Virginia. He took this journey with no guarantee of admission, but with the hope of finding a way to earn admission. When he showed up at the Hampton Institute, he was told the only way he would be admitted was by cleaning each and every classroom. He earned an opportunity by producing with his own hands. He passed on that message to the crowd in Atlanta. Washington pointed back to the ability for the formerly enslaved to use their hands to build the lives they were looking for. Because of the mass of black Americans that were now free, those thousands of hands that once performed labor for free could now use those same hands to labor their way out of poverty without seeking immediate political and civil rights.
That's what I just said. Excuse me. Excuse me. See, that's what he was trying to teach the former slaves for what they've learned during slavery. Use that. Use that skill to power yourself money-wise. Open your own business. See, that's what he was trying to teach. Way different from what W.E.B. Du Bois was talking. It was different. Like I say, their talking ideas was different, but it was for the same cause. You know, they was fighting for the same cause. Even though their approach was different. But the ending was the same. The cause was the same. Let's continue.
First and foremost, Washington believed black people needed to focus on building a strong economic foundation. Booker T. Washington himself took this very path. He started at the lowest rung in America, an enslaved black child. Once he was emancipated, he worked alongside his stepfather in the coal mines of West Virginia. He really wanted to be educated, but his family couldn't afford to lose his financial contributions. So, in order to continue to provide for his family and go to school, a young Washington made a deal with his stepfather that he would get up at 4 a.m., work a few hours in the mine, and then go to school. He continued this philosophy as the head principal of Tuskegee Institute, when he literally used his own hands to help build the campus facilities. Booker T. Washington saw what his hands could do and believed the hands of his people were just as capable. The wisest among my race understand that the agitation of questions of social equality is the extremest folly. Booker T. Washington believed what Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X would later believe. Begging for a seat at their table was not a smart idea. Washington argued that civil rights should eventually be pursued, but that economic independence and self-education should be first and foremost. The wisest among my race understand that the agitation of questions of social equality is the extremest folly. Washington believed aiming to change the minds of white people was a waste of energy. Begging for access into their spaces and hoping to gain their respect through legislation and politics, Washington believed was futile. He believed that black folks should instead put all their energy and efforts into community building, focusing on bettering each other through education and then hiring each other. Washington believed, to gain the approval of any other race, black people must first prove their economic value. This particular stance angered other black leaders, especially W.E.B. Du Bois. Du Bois was a strong advocate for integration.
Okay, before they talk about Du Bois, and see, I like Booker T. Washington's ideology better because, just like I say today, we expect the government to come down and stop the violence, stop the drug flow, this and that. We expect the government to do all that. But Booker T mindset was we ought to work within. We ought to, per se, take care of our own. In other words, we had to keep our house clean. We had to clean our house to earn the respect of the white man. We had to show that we can take care of our own. If we showed that we couldn't take care of our own, how are we going to get respect? So Booker T. Washington was more on the line of getting the respect. He didn't really care about, the civil rights and all that shit first, to integrate, white people. He didn't think about that first. He was thinking about black people uniting and building their own. Let's build our own first. Then we'll get the respect of the white man. To me, that's a good ideology by Booker T. Washington. Because what are we going through today? The black businesses that we had back in the day is gone. The black owned back in the day corner stores and all that shit is gone. Grocery stores, it gone. Well, I know they didn't have fast food down, back in that time, but even today, fast food restaurant, you very seldom find black owned. Now you might find some black owned restaurants, but anything else black owned, you very seldom find. And just think if we follow the teachings of Booker T. Washington, how different it'll be today. But of course, as we learn through history, even if we've done that, developed our own, you still had jealousy and envy amongst the white community, which we have learned through the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre. Because that's where the black people got their teaching from, got their ideas from Booker T. Washington. They developed their own. Yeah, they dealt with the whites, but they took everything to their community. So the money flows through their community. But they love the way. Yeah, it's crazy. Let's continue.
He believed that the advancement of black people would come through obtaining higher education and receiving professional development. Du Bois believed Washington...
Hold on, let me go back a little bit.
...of any other race, black people must first prove their economic value. This particular stance angered other black leaders, especially W.E.B. Du Bois. Du Bois was a strong advocate for integration. He believed that the advancement of black people would come through obtaining higher education and receiving professional development. Du Bois believed Washington's stance of striving through segregation only empowered racist laws and would lead to prolonged oppression. Their opposing philosophies would carry on until this very day.
Yeah, so it's going on today. You know, some people have the mindset of opening their own, buying property. The importance of buying property, the purpose of owning property. You know, you have some community with black businesses, because we have one here. You know, so that's what it is. Let's continue.
The impact. The Atlanta Compromise would shoot Booker T. Washington into the national spotlight. His approach of self-sufficiency was a shift from the more radical approaches that demanded full equality and civil rights. Washington understood that the power to change was only in the hands of black people, no matter how unfair their circumstances were at the time. His speech was radical in itself as he alluded to the idea that black people should accept social segregation in the form of Jim Crow in exchange for economic opportunities and space for self-improvement. Washington urged his people to take the long, patient path of economic progress and vocational education to gain the respect of mainstream society and to improve their own standing. Booker T. Washington's approach garnered the support of white philanthropists like Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller. He would maintain those relationships, and they would help fund different black education and black institutions throughout the country. In the face of disenfranchisement, Washington asked his people to hold strong and fight for the opportunity to build their own, instead of asking for a piece of someone else's. Even though his speech was denounced by many with his own race, his approach inspired plenty of results. Through his do-for-self philosophy, many were inspired. Black towns and black businesses throughout the South began to pop up and thrive. Many claim they were inspired by the writings and speeches of Booker T. Washington. Through his founding of the National Negro Business League, black economic power showed its viability through plenty of businesses throughout the country, including being the catalyst behind the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The legacy of Booker T. Washington's words that day and beyond should inspire us to do for ourselves. Whether someone comes to help or not, it is up to us to lead ourselves to the results we aspire to achieve.
And I can. And as to today, we are the only one who can stop everything that's going. We can't depend on the government or anybody else to come solve our problems. We can't. We have to solve the problems ourselves. We have to clean our own house. We have to clean our own house.
movement was one of the first organizations, one of the first movements that was explicitly centered around an unequivocal demand for African American civil rights and full inclusion into the American body politic.
The problem with the 20th century is the problem of the color line. W.E.B. Du Bois. Why did W.E.B. Du Bois think it was imperative to get equal rights now? In his seminal work, The Souls of Black Folk, he laid out why gaining equal rights was necessary for Black Americans, the psychology behind this belief, and why any other idea that didn't include political and civil rights for Black Americans immediately was downright dangerous. Let's explore and break down why this book and Du Bois' philosophy continues to encourage debates and fuel movements more than 100 years after it was published. If you like Black history, make sure you subscribe, like, and share. The year was 1895. As the century was coming to a close, Black America was struggling to find an identity as they slowly began to build after centuries of being deprived by way of chattel slavery. There were pockets of Black progression, small communities living throughout the country, but the threat of white retribution was always looming. The promises and progress of the Reconstruction era had been dismantled and replaced by the Jim Crow era. But one man still believed and wanted to encourage Black people to continue to fight, demand for their rights, and integrate into this society that seemed very resistant to the idea. W.E.B. Du Bois believed Black Americans were owed civil rights, political rights, and the right to move freely throughout the country, and he believed it was beholden on the white people to relinquish their racist grips. He laid out...
See, depending on the white people. Instead of just building within yourselves, you busy want to get respect or get civil rights from the white people, which they will never give. You can see that today. Through all the things we've been through, civil rights movement and all this shit, we still being discriminated somehow. I'm talking about Black people. You know, they throw a little bone to us and thinking that things gonna be better, but it's still the same. See, that's why I say I trust no politician, either party, Democrat or Republican. I don't trust either one, because neither one cares about the people per se, not like you think. You know, just listen to some of these campaign speeches and just watch what's going on. You can tell. You can tell. The people, you have to remember, the president does not run the United States or do not run the world. The president is just a pawn to who runs the world is billionaires. That's who really run the world. Because if you look at it, y'all, every campaign, look how they talk about who donated to who. It's them billionaires. The billionaires know who they want as president. And the billionaires know who they don't want. Because the billionaires, it wasn't just some Black folks. The billionaires didn't want Kamala Harris to be president. So we can't say because she's Black. Shit, they let Obama in. Obama became two-term president. See, so sometimes I think people give, once you get into politics, I'm going to say this, once you get into politics, or you into politics, some of your deep morals, you have to swallow, pause, because you have to go on that party's agenda. But you know, when Obama became president, he talked a good game. He talked what he really wanted to do. But once he got in office, it was totally different. It was totally different. But that's what happened when you get into politics that high. See, one thing about politicians, they are great liars. Politicians like to play on your fear. So they'll lie to you just to play on your fear. That's why you can never trust a politician. And the way you saw how the Democrats had us going, all this crazy stuff going on. Now, don't get me wrong. I have no problem with the alphabet community. You know what I'm saying? I have no problem. But you shouldn't put them rate them over, per se, a black man. That don't make no sense to me. But that's what they do. So all this time, the black man still ain't free. Black man still ain't free. Let's continue.
And wanted to encourage black people to continue to fight, demand for their rights, and integrate into this society that seemed very resistant to the idea. W.E.B. Du Bois believes black Americans were owed civil rights, political rights, and the right to move freely throughout the country, and he believed it was beholden on the white people to relinquish their racist grips. He laid out his thoughts in 1903 when The Souls of Black Folk was published. Let's explore some of those key concepts. Articulation of the Black American experience. A major point that Du Bois focused on was the uniqueness of the Black experience in America. He articulated the pain and aspirations of African Americans during the time of systemic racism and oppression. W.E.B. Du Bois came from a very unique experience for Black Americans during this time. He was not born into slavery. As a matter of fact, neither were his parents or grandparents. Du Bois came from a Black family that had been free for several generations. He was also raised in Massachusetts, a free state, where he never experienced overt racism or segregation. Du Bois' only interactions with white people were mostly positive and supportive. Even still, he was often the only Black child in his classes. Du Bois didn't experience violent outward racism until he went to college at Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee. It was there for the first time that he experienced being in an all-Black classroom. It wasn't until college that he saw the segregation of Blacks and whites and the degradation and impoverished conditions that Black Americans lived in the South.
Now, see, he grew up different, like I said, from Booker T. He never saw the racism and all that stuff that Booker T did or faced. Because now, remember, W.E.B. Du Bois family was free. They're generation free. So he never really experienced, especially living in Massachusetts, he never experienced total racism. You know, like having a color water fountain and a white color fountain, water fountain. He never experienced that until he went to school in Tennessee. So W.E.B. Du Bois grew up different than Booker T. Washington. So their way to approach things was different. See, W.E.B. Du Bois never had a problem of going to school or being financed to school. Because as you heard, he was the only black in his class. So he didn't have the struggle as Booker T. Washington had. Because remember, Booker T. Washington was born a slave. Let's continue.
His experience at Fisk was transformational. Du Bois didn't grow up experiencing the harsh realities that so many Southern Black Americans experienced. Seeing the harmful remnants of slavery and the current laws of Jim Crow made him realize change was needed immediately. Du Bois believed that there needed to be a recognition of these harmful conditions by those he believed caused them. He believed legislation and policies would need to be enacted to ensure the safety and well-being of Black Americans. He also believed that there were good and righteous white Americans and that they needed to make space for Black Americans. Du Bois went to college because of the support of his white neighbors. He had spent time studying in Germany and came away with the realization that peace among races was possible. Du Bois went on to become the first Black American to earn a PhD from Harvard. These opportunities were available to Black Americans. He just believed that the gatekeepers needed to stop blocking the path. The double...
See, W.E.B. Du Bois had the same mindset as early Martin Luther King. With the I Have a Dream speech, when he's talking about Black folks and white folks living together, his children playing with little white kids and all that stuff. See, that's kind of what W.E.B. Du Bois philosophy. See, Malcolm X had Booker T. Washington philosophy. See, that was the difference. And another difference was that Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois never had that conversation. But Malcolm X and Martin Luther King had that conversation. Then the last speech Martin Luther King gave in Memphis, Tennessee, April the 1st, 1968, he spoke on the economic gap, what Booker T. Washington was talking about. And that's what got him unalive. He was cool when he's talking about living amongst white folks. Black folks not build on their own and the economic gap and all that shit. He was good. As soon as he started talking the economic gap and all that stuff, next day he's unalive.
Consciousness. Du Bois continued his theme of the complexities of navigating America as a Black American when he introduced the idea of double consciousness. He wrote of the internal conflict experienced by African Americans who have to navigate their identity as both Black and American in a society that devalues them. It is a peculiar sensation, this double consciousness, this sense of always looking at oneself through the eyes of others, by measuring one's soul by the tape of a world that looks on in amused contempt and pity. Du Bois experienced this peculiar sensation. He himself was an excellent scholar, the first to get a PhD from Harvard, but was still not allowed at certain lunch counters because of his skin color. This concept can speak to Muhammad Ali, famously winning a gold medal in 1960 in Rome, but was still discriminated against when he came back home to America, or the countless Blacks who fought in America's wars, only to be denied equal rights. The constant battle of being a proud American, but also treated unfairly by the same country, all because of their skin color. The double consciousness reflects the conflict of being Black and American in a society that marginalizes Black identity, causing a constant tension between personal identity and societal perception. The veil.
You know, I guess that's one of the, thing of it is, like I say, I give kudos to all the brothers who went in the service, because a lot of them went in the service for different reasons. And I don't knock anybody that went in the service, because some guys, it benefited them. But I would like to see the United States give as much effort when they go strike other countries for socialism reasons or oil reasons or whatever like that, do the same fight here. So we fighting for everybody else and building them up, but we're not building our own people up. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. They'll give people who's not from here better benefits than they'll give people who've been here all their life. I don't understand that. And you heard even the guys who did go fight for their country, they came back home and still wasn't free. They still got it treated like low-class citizens. And they served in the army. They fought for the country. So, you tell me.
The Negro is a sort of seventh son, born with a veil and gifted with second sight in this American world, a world which yields him no true self-consciousness, but only lets him see himself through the revelation of the other world. Du Bois' experiences led him to believe that Black Americans were viewed through a barrier that obscured their true potential. That veil was constructed by centuries of slavery, racism, and oppression that led to Black Americans constantly being viewed as incapable and unworthy by their American counterparts. The veil symbolized a misunderstanding between Black and white Americans. Du Bois wanted to encourage the dismantling of this veil so that white Americans could see the true potential and humanity of Black individuals. This dismantling, he believed, would need to come through civil rights, legislation, and political reform. Du Bois versus Washington. In 1895, as Du Bois was finishing up his studies at Harvard, a lightning rod of an opposing philosophy struck the Black American community. It was a speech delivered by Booker T. Washington that we now refer to as the Atlanta Compromise. It was during this speech Washington advocated to maintain segregation in exchange for Black solidarity. Washington believed Black Americans should not seek out integration or civil rights, at least not right now. Instead, he advocated for vocational training to lean into the centuries of forced education in agriculture and put all efforts to build the Black community into a formidable group first. Washington wanted Black people to earn the respect of white Americans, not agitate or force their acceptance. Booker T. Washington pushed the idea of gradualism. The Atlanta Compromise speech made Booker T. Washington one of the most famous men in America. His message resonated with a lot of Black Americans, but was also weaponized by oppressive white agendas. Du Bois responded in his book, Mr. Washington represents in Negro thought the old attitude of adjustment and submission, but adjustment at such a peculiar time as to make his program unique. Du Bois critiques Booker T. Washington's accommodationist stance. He believed Black Americans couldn't afford to take things slow, not when Black Americans were victims of racial violence and disenfranchisement. Du Bois believed Washington's approach compromised the progress into full civil rights and stifled political activism, in exchange for a future that Du Bois believed Black Americans might not even make it to. The rivalry between Du Bois and Washington would continue for years. They would never directly debate, but instead would address each other directly and indirectly through publishings, writings, and speeches. Their opposing philosophies would go on to define the clashing views within the civil rights movement. Malcolm X advocated for black folk to save themselves by any means necessary.
New Tide Evo, the new laundry detergent that works.
Excuse me, y'all. But yeah, see, they had two different philosophies how to deal with things. Like I say, in my opinion, all it took for them to have a conversation. Because they both were speaking for the betterment of black people, but they had different ways to approach it. And see, the reason why Du Bois and Booker T's was different because the way they was raised, the way they grew up. You know? Let's continue. Got a little bit to go.
A disciple of Booker T. Washington, Martin Luther King Jr., an advocate for integration and civil rights, a student of Du Bois. The talented 10. The Negro race, like all races, is going to be saved by its exceptional men.
I think you guys missed that part.
Malcolm X advocated for black folk to save themselves by any means necessary. A disciple of Booker T. Washington. Martin Luther King Jr., an advocate for integration and civil rights, a student of Du Bois. The talented 10.
See, Booker T. Washington had the same mindset. Well, Malcolm X had the same mindset as Booker T. Washington. But he said Martin Luther King was a disciple of Du Bois.
The Negro race, like all races, is going to be saved by its exceptional men. Du Bois advocated for the development of a talented 10th, the top 10% of black Americans who, through higher education and leadership, would uplift the entire race. This ideology stemmed from the advancements Du Bois was able to make through his exceptional intelligence. From an early age, it was Du Bois' intellectual skills that granted him access. He was such an exceptional student that white neighbors put money toward Du Bois' higher education. It was his supreme intelligence that took him from Fisk to becoming the first black PhD recipient at Harvard. So it was his belief that if the black community could assemble just 10% of their most exceptional minds, they would lead their people to prosperity. He argued that producing intellectual, political, and social leaders was essential for challenging systemic oppression and ensuring black Americans' advancement and empowerment. Education and work are the levers to uplift the people. Du Bois believed through education, in particular liberal arts, leaders would be cultivated and prepared to lead and fight for social justice and civil rights. While he agreed vocational training had some value, he believed the only way blacks could compete in the long run was to have access to the same intellectual and educational opportunities as whites, on freedom and justice. He simply wishes to make it possible for a man to be both a Negro and an American, without being cursed and spit upon by his fellows, without having the doors of opportunity closed roughly in his face. Throughout his book, Du Bois continues to reiterate the simplicity of the demands of black folk, his vision of a society that allows black men and women to exist and enjoy their citizenry and humanity in peace. He didn't think it was fair for blacks to have to choose allegiance to their race or loyalty to their country. Du Bois believed there was space for both, and it could be achieved through access to higher education, political rights, and civil rights. Du Bois stated, "Between me and the other world, there is ever an unasked question, unasked by some through feelings of delicacy, by others through the difficulty of rightly framing it. All, nevertheless, flutter around it. They approach me in a half-hesitant sort of way, eye me curiously or compassionately, and then, instead of saying directly, 'How does it feel to be a problem?' they say, 'I know an excellent colored man in my town.'" This powerful statement continues to explore the identity issues blacks face and continue to face till this day. This concept reveals the psychological toll of alienation and patronizing curiosity. We've all heard it before. "You're beautiful for a black girl," or "You're not like the rest of them." These challenging landscapes create obstacles that force black Americans to remain dignified in the face of ignorance disguised as empathy. Du Bois was a victim of that thinking because of his intelligence and fair skin. Legacy. These are just some of the focal points of this groundbreaking book. and we encourage you to read it and comment on your takeaways. W.E.B. Du Bois' work continued after publishing The Souls of Black Folks for another 60 years. Du Bois helped create multiple organizations to hammer home the philosophies he laid out. In 1905, he founded the Niagara Movement. The Niagara Movement directly called for full civil rights, political representation, and an end to racial discrimination. The Niagara Movement directly led to the founding of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, aka the NAACP, in 1909. The NAACP became a major force in the fight for civil rights, advocating for legal challenges to segregation and disenfranchisement, and Du Bois served as one of the original chairmen. The book inspired subsequent generations of civil rights activists and intellectuals. Du Bois' call for self-determination and advocacy for social justice laid the groundwork for future movements, including the Harlem Renaissance and the Civil Rights Movement of the 1950s and 1960s. The Souls of Black Folk reflects W.E.B. Du Bois' belief that achieving equality requires both a recognition of systemic injustices and a commitment to a higher vision for Black life. His work speaks to the resilience and potential of the Black community, advocating for education, political action, and unity as pathways to liberation. It remains a vital work that continues to inspire and inform discussions about race and equality, more than 100 years after it was published. The works of Du Bois continue to be used in classrooms and universities all over the world, and we encourage you to check out The Souls of Black Folk and any other literature from one of the greatest minds America has ever produced.
Yep. That's it. So, like I say, man, they both had good ideas. And all it took for them just to have a conversation. Because you saw by the way they, grew up, they're going to have different ways of doing things. They're going to have a different way of accomplish things. Because they came up different. But they just would have had this conversation to me. Man. Because both of them was right. Black folks should, have their own independence and, businesses and all that stuff. That's what we should do. But W.E. Du Bois was saying we ought to, demand our rights, not just sit back and just develop our own and don't deal with this, demand our civil rights. Because W.E.B. Du Bois was saying, if we went that way, then we'd get a lot more attention from the white folks, which in actuality, he was right. Look at Black Wall Street. So he felt that we had to fight for our civil rights. Along with building our community, we had to fight for civil rights. That's why I say all it took for them to have a conversation. Both of them was on the same path, but by both of them having different upbringings, they had different ways to accomplish it. Because as it stated, they never had a conversation. It was just going back and forth in speeches and writings. So that's just like you just going at each other through the press. You never having a man-to-man conversation, face-to-face conversation. Because if you notice, both of their philosophies, technically, because division is there, neither one of them is working. But we still fight for civil rights. And where's the black-owned businesses? Especially in our community. All we have is other nationality stores in our community. From liquor stores on up. Where it's legal at, marijuana on up. They're not owned by no black person. Well, I can say that for Chicago. So where's the black businesses? Or if they are black businesses, are we supporting them? Now, I know customer service means a lot. Because you can get bad customer service at a white business and a black business. But still, we'll quickly support that other race business, even though we get bad customer service. Because I've seen some people going to the nail shop cussing them people out. But the next time for them to get their feet and nails done, guess where they at? They right back at that same business where they cuss them workers or owners out. Got a black business. Everybody want to come in and get a deal. They want you to give them a deal. But you don't do that to that white business. How about let me get a deal? But you want to do it to the black business. Support that black business like you do that white business or other people, other nationality business. It just seems like our community just hate to see other black people prosper. You know, we'd rather be jealous over somebody who's coming up. In actuality, we could be doing the same thing. But we'll quickly get jealous of the person who's coming up. That's how we are. See, I like learning history. I love it. Because you can see everything. Because like I say, history ain't nothing but all it do is repeat itself. All it do is repeat itself. When I go on live and I talk about history, I'm just showing you different stages where history repeats itself. I ain't trying to teach you history. I'm just showing you the repetition of how history repeats itself. You know, I showed you how they control you by taking a black man out the home. That was done all the way back in slavery. It didn't start with welfare. They told you how to control you. They told you how they want you to depend on them and the different stages, what they did to make you depend on them. History repeats itself. And all we doing is just fall into the history. Because we repeating history. The jealousy, the greed, hatred. All that shit, man. You can't call yourself being spiritual if you hate somebody. You can't say you believe in God when you hate. Because when you hate, you don't believe in God, because God ain't about hate. That's why I say I don't dislike nobody on this YouTube. I'm not coming here to dislike anybody. I don't have a hate bone in my body. I don't have no dislike bone in my body. See, I know I'm on the internet because if I come to your show and I don't like what I see or hear or whatever, I can always move on. You probably know I'm there because I speak and I move on. You know? That's just me, man. That's why I say anybody is welcome on my channel. I don't discriminate. Because we all can learn something. Like I said earlier, I love it when people don't like me. I love it. You know why I love it? And I also laugh at it. You just don't know. And I know I'm doing something right. See, because I'm not afraid to go in the lion's den. After this past shit that happened, y'all should know that by now. I ain't afraid to go in the lion's den. I have no fear. None. Only one person I fear. And it's definitely ain't no man. So in my approach, I'm just gonna stay focused on what I'm doing. I'm gonna stay focused on what I'm doing. Yeah, KTC. I've just seen your question, KTC. Yeah, we all live by choices. Everybody. Everybody live by choices. You have the choice to do the right thing. You have the choice to do the wrong thing. We all live by choices. That's one thing God granted us, the power of choice. And, some choices come with consequences. The wrong choice. So you always got to be conscious of what choice you make. That's most definite. I think Smoking that good shit. But I just think it's too much. I just think my brings value to this set. We gotta have some positivity in this thing somewhere. We gotta have some positive. We gotta have some unity in this thing somewhere. I'm from the informative, like podcasting. That's the shit I like. Shit that's informative, what's happening in the world today. You know, all that shit. That's what I like. You know, like I said before, I'd like to see everybody who calls themselves a content creator to speak on something that's happening in the world today. Anything. Gas prices, food prices, anything. Anything. Instead of talking about each other. Let's see that. Let's see who can do that. Because some of us are too old to be up here just roasting every time we go live every day and all day. Some of us too old for that shit. I say, once you get in your 40s, you should be talking about some serious shit. That's just my opinion. Because see, what people fail to realize that, you know, I got a lot of time left on this earth. It's not guaranteed, my brothers and sisters. Shit, they leaving this earth younger and younger. I just heard of a old school alumni class. Well, she graduated like 11 years after me, but she just passed away. Young. 51 years old. Young. What's up, Ronald? So, hey, life is not guaranteed. Life is not guaranteed. You clown. What's up with you, clown? Man, where you been, Ron? I've been seeing you on other people's pages, man. Not that much, but I've been seeing you. What's been up with you, young blood? I didn't last long. Well, okay, good. I make my own sector. I don't belong to nothing. This YouTube. I got my own shit. I got my own shit. I don't have to worry about that. You can tell. Just look around. See how often you see me. You better tell. No, I wasn't following the takeover. I watched them. I wasn't following. You know. I got my own shield, Ronald. Only shield I protect is mine. Only shield I protect is mine. I'm my own game. I was. You right. Now I'm a Mason. I never said I was a Mason. I'm more in line on that writing. Read what that say. Forget the Mason sign. Just read what that say. Don't focus on the Mason sign. That's what I want you to focus on. That's what you focus on, Ronald. But yeah. That's how it is, man. That's how I roll. I protect my shield. I don't protect no other man's shield. I protect mine. I'm glad shit happened the way it did, though. Because it snapped me back into reality. You know? It snapped me back on my purpose. You know? Like I said, it ain't no disrespect. You know, I appreciate the time I was on the takeover on the panel and shit. But it was that time. You know, I had to start representing my purpose. And start representing my shield. Because what G Money said was right. I'm not part of no takeover. I'm not. I'm not part of takeover. I never claimed to be. But like I say, that rang a bell in my head. You know, you're right. But I saw that early on. That's why I started my channel before that. But I knew it was coming. I just didn't know when. And things happened the way it did. Hey, lesson learned. And it was that time for me to develop my own shield. I still watch, I still support, but I'm still supporting my own shield. I'm representing me. I ain't representing no fraction of the people on YouTube. I ain't claiming no sides. I'm representing me. If I'm somewhere, I'm representing me. Nobody else. If you see me somewhere, I'm representing me. If you see me at Damn D thing, I'm representing me. You see me at the takeover, I'm representing me. If you see me anywhere else, I'm representing me. See, that's how I've learned to keep out of bullshit. Like I said, nobody don't say nothing about me. I won't say nothing about them. I don't want to do that. That's not my objective. I'm just here to watch. I watch what y'all do. Y'all roll. I'm just not getting in the shit. I don't want to be in it. I'm done. I learned my lesson. I'm done. I ain't come over here for that. That's it. That's just me. That's how it's going to be from now on. That's how it really always been, but, it is what it is. Because if you ask me, I hope all of it stop. Like I said, if you content creator, talk about what's going on. That's what's more enlightening. You can make it entertaining. But it don't have to be every live you're talking about somebody. That's crazy. Every live? I'm not saying don't stop roasting completely, but damn. Some of you so-called content creators, that's all you do. Because I see it takes two to tangle. Because evidently, if you talk about a person, they're going to have to make a lie to rebuttal what you're talking about. So it takes two to tangle. Let's create a content that's what's happening today. Like I say, talk about the gas prices. Talk about something. All this putting up people's addresses and where people live, putting up pictures. Man, that's bullshit. That's bullshit, man. That's just a waste of energy. What's up, Shotty? That's just a waste of energy, man. A waste of a day, in my opinion. I'll be amazed if I see all content creators create some content about something that's going on today or whatever. I'll be surprised. I'll be surprised. I'll be surprised if I see that. Like I say, you don't have to totally take out the roasting, but mix it in. Mix it in. Make something that's happening really going on today or whatever. And you can have a roasting day, like you have roasting Sunday or whatever, Friday or whatever. You can do that. But damn, every day? I don't know. That's just me. That's just me. That's just me. Who am I? Who am I? Yeah, so. But I think it'll get better. Because a lot of people like me gonna get tired of it. Well, not necessarily tired of it, but get to a point where it's getting old. Let me put it like that. That's why now people I support, I stop by, I speak. Sometimes I'm gone. Because it's getting old. It's getting old, man. It's getting too personal. You know, that's crazy, man. That is crazy. When you get to that point. What's up, Rich Brian? When you get to that point, it's getting old. It's getting old to me. You know, I don't care who's, in my opinion, this is my opinion. I don't care who you might think causing the division. It still takes two to tango. That's just my opinion. I guess that's the 62-year-old in me. Oh, shit. Man. Hey, I think it's a win on both ends, man. Because Cleveland is kind of like in a rebuilding stage. And Cleveland, to me, in my opinion, Rich Prime, is doing Myles Garrett a favor. What I mean by that is he gave him a chance to get a Super Bowl ring. Like how they did Reggie White. So I think that was a good move for both, man. I've been good. How you been? Miss me with the BS? I like that. I've been good. How you been? Well, yeah, Rich Prime. I think it could work out for both sides, man. I think that's rumors. He been out. How long he been out? What? 4 years? What's up, King Mill? Think he been out 4 years? Yeah. I don't think he's gonna come back. They good. They don't need him. They don't need him. They don't need him. But they had some good boys. They just didn't have that dominant pass rusher. They got him now. They had some dog. Yeah. Hey, Lonnie. Yeah. Well, you know, I never really had a set football team, but I used to like the Rams when they was the greatest show on turf. I used to like when they had Eric Dickerson too, until they played the Bears. That's the only time I ain't like the Rams. And the Bears mollywopped their butt. Pause. Yeah. So yeah. So I don't know, y'all. That's just me. You know, I just go to different people. Oh, okay. Right. I feel you, Rich Pine. Yeah, Rich Pine, you must be a young buck. You must be a young buck. Either late 80s or 90s, baby. Well, ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with that. 46. Okay. You ain't that young, but you know, younger than me. I got you about 16. You Uncle G. Yeah, you about at that age, bro. I was Uncle G with my nieces and nephews. Yeah, I know, King Mill. I know. It's cool though. You know, I got young, well, the people from around my crib around y'all age. Shit, we socialize all the time. When I see them. Oh yeah. I'm telling you, man, before that pandemic, man, I was still hooping. When that pandemic hit, everything closed, man, that was it. Nigga gained weight. Shit. fucking up, that was it. I haven't touched a basketball since. What you talking about here? Man, good to see y'all. Rich Prime, King Mills, shout out Shotty. Yeah, I was just saying, y'all, man, shit. This shit getting crazy in these streets, man. But I'm just gonna stick on doing my thing. Hopefully some positivity or some shit. Cause I learned, man, you gotta walk it like you talk it. You gotta walk it like you talk it. Yep. Yeah. You're right, King Mill. Nah. Rich Prime, that's why I say I'm gonna protect my shield. I'm gonna stay within me. I'm gonna stay me. I'm gonna stay in my lane. You know, I'm gonna continue to do what I came here to do. I'm not coming here to be divisive or be in the midst of division. Hey, I hope it be an influence, Shotty. That's all I want, man. That makes me know that I'm doing something right. You feel me? No matter how much I get criticized, I don't care. I don't care about that. That's why I say I'll go in the midst of any fire. That's why I go where I go. See, there's a reason why I do things. I play chess, not checkers. There's a reason why I do things. There's a reason why I go to different places. I'm talking about on the internet, on YouTube. It's a reason. I don't want to be amongst division. That's why I say everybody is welcome on my channel. As long as you don't disrespect it, you're welcome. I gotta walk it like I talk it. A lot of people don't walk it. They just talk it. Because I can't stop myself from doing what I came to do. And don't fulfill what I came to do. I don't do the walk. Yeah. Yeah, you can say that. That's why I say, Rich Prime, everybody who call themselves who got a page or whatever, Instead of talking about each other, talk about something that's going on today. Well, everybody know that, Rich Brian. That's not even to be spoken. as they say less. But still, everybody. Hey, because Rich Brian, this is how I look at it. If you don't respond, what else can they say? See, the object is to get you to respond. Then once you respond, then they can respond back on your response. You see how it go? But if you don't respond, what else can they say? They're going to have to come up with something else. That's the thing, man. That's the thing. If you don't respond, because they're going to get you when they first start talking about it, because people going to come in. People definitely going to come in when they start talking about it. But if you don't respond, they ain't going to have nothing else to respond to. That's why I say it takes two. It takes two. Because you feel the person talking about you is making money off of you, off of your name, per se. And every time that person talks about you, you respond and talk about them. They're going to get that same audience again when they respond to your response. And it's crazy if you feel you can create content without talking about somebody, talk about what's going on in the world, but instead you responding to that person who's talking about you. You getting that person, you letting that person get you off your square. You don't got to respond every time. Now, if you feel you can do that, that's the approach I would do. Because that person ain't going to make no more money off me if that's the way you feel. Yeah, but you know, people don't want to listen to me, Rich Prime. Yeah. And that's why I talk history, Rich Prime. Greed, jealousy. Because there's money for everybody. Everybody can make money on YouTube. Everybody can make money on YouTube. The money is just set up for one person. That's what I don't understand. That's crazy. That's crazy. It don't make no sense. Well, see, the one who's least talented, they're the ones that's going to fade out. That's why I put up that challenge. Because it might be some that can't create content about what's happening in real life or anything positive. Or whatever. You know, like I say, gas prices, food prices, shit, any damn thing. They can't do it. If your audience rock with you, they're gonna come. If your audience rock with you, they're gonna come. You see it now. Look at Kwame. Kwame don't roast every damn time he come on live. He talk about shit that's happening in real life. His audience still come. So that shows right there you can do it. If your audience rock with you, they're gonna come. But like you say, Rich Prime, all of them can't do it. Yep. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Well, I sure love to see that, boy. That shit'll be funny. That shit'll be funny. Well, it's like that, Rich Prime. It's like that sometimes. Well, I got my opinion on that. You know, like I say, I ain't here to judge. You know, hey, it is what it is. Yeah, I just, Rich Prime, by the point, I'm just staying on all that shit, man. I just stay on all that shit, man. I stay out of all that shit, man. Yeah. I do too, Rich Prime. I do. I watch everything. I watch everything. I see everything. But, you know, I just keep my shit to me. That's all. I don't form no opinion. Well, sometimes you do have some bad kids and good kids. good kid. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you know, hey, shit, Kwame didn't know. You know, Kwame was just doing a good thing, man. You know, he didn't know. So that's how I look at it, man. Everybody judge things differently, man. Some people give gratitude, some people don't. You know, hey, it's like that, man. You know, some people forget where they got that helping hand from. Some people don't. Gratitude. That too, Shotty. That too, Shotty. That too. I feel you. All right, Rich. Have a good one, bro. Yeah. That's why I say, Shotty, if a motherfucker say something, Shotty, talk about something that's happening in real. Don't even respond. Nobody gonna have nothing else to talk about. Because the only way they getting their content is by you responding to what they saying. Force them to talk about something else. That's how you force somebody to talk about something else who you might know who can't. Man, that'll fuck them up. That's how you handle it. You don't have to raise your blood pressure. If you got that talent, Shotty, and can do it, man. Come on, Shotty. We gotta think. We gotta play chess, not checkers, man. And that's whoever. If we know we can create content without talking about somebody or something that's happening or whatever, do it. Because that gives a person less content to talk about who can't do it. See, them people are the ones that's going to fade out. Gotta think. Gotta play chess, not checkers. You gotta think why KB said keep me out of that. You gotta think why he said that. Because that's not what he's focused on. Gotta play chess, not checkers. So if you got that talent, do it. You see, nobody can't really say nothing about KB. Why? Because he's not doing live talking about nobody. People still talking about KB, but he ain't focusing on doing that. Got to play chess, not checkers. So if you that type of content creator, you can make content without talking about somebody and still bring the views, do that. Because like I say, I don't care about how many views I get. As long as somebody here listening or whatever it takes from what I'm saying, I'm cool. I don't care if it's 2 people in here. At least I got 2 people listening. It's going to influence one of them. Because if you on some real shit and you got the views you got, they going to still come. You still can have your roasting days. But throw in some, serious content. It don't have to be no history and no shit like that, but, what's happening today. Or general conversation or whatever. Because I dug when Biz did that thing about that boy in East St. Louis. That was some cool shit. That was some interesting shit. That was nice. You could throw shit like that in. Roasting every day. You just going back and forth. Man, that get old, man. Not every day. So that's just how I feel. That's how I feel about the whole situation. Just getting crazy. It's getting crazy, y'all. It's getting crazy. But anyway, y'all, I'm get off this thing. Got to get the young one ready for school. And hope everybody have a good day. Good, prosperous day. Make it productive. On that note,